So Wargaming released this dev blog article on the 15th of August, and this basically details the proposed changes they're going to make to crew skills, equipment, consumables. They haven't said when this is going to happen. They said, I think somewhere here they say, I read this yesterday, it says in the next month or so, so I'm guessing this was roughly 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. I'm assuming this will be coming sometime September. We don't know. But basically, there's a couple of... Before we get into this, you know, the details at the bottom here, they're going to be changing the duration of 6 cents from 5 seconds to 10 seconds in Cold War. This, I don't think is necessary. But then this is going to be in conjunction with a lot of other things that they're changing. And then the proxy spot is going to go from 35 meters to 50 meters, which is going to be the same as World War II. So this first section here, this reads like they're trying to standardize the game mechanics. There's going to be less difference between Cold War and World War II. So this time here is also dependent on, you know, on the crew skills that you've got, so it can be changed for plus minus 5 seconds. So with the right crew skills you can get it back to 5 seconds. If you don't have and then with other crew skills or whatever, you can get it up to 15 seconds, which is quite a long time. That length of time is okay if the game slows down. That's how I see it. But let's see what they've got planned here. So, commander skill changes. Let's have a look. So, 6th Sense is going to be default ability for all commanders, which, yeah, people have asked for a while. So we've got 4 slots. One of them is 6th Sense. That'll just be default, opening up another slot. New skill. ATGM Expert increases the turning speed of ATGMs. Okay. I suppose that's important if for those very, very fast ATGMs, if you can snap to a different target, the ATGM will turn with you better. I'll just have to use that, see how it works, and make a decision then. Radio jamming, 3-second decrease to your spotted duration time. Fine. Probably useful for light tanks. New skill, Pyromaniac. External fires you start with your flamethrower do 50% more damage per tick. That's a crew skill specifically for flamethrower tanks, of which, what are there, like 3 of them or something? I'm not sure how many there are. There aren't any in Cold War, so fine. New skill, rocket scientist, 25% increase in velocity for unguided rockets. That can kind of be helpful that's sort of helpful. So that's going to help the I can see it in my head, the Hydra, and it's going to help the Calliope, the Sherman with the rockets on top. So they've got crew skills that are more specific to certain types of vehicles now. That's heading towards a crew skill setup like we used to have in the old days. Each crew was locked to a nation, and typically you would have that crew for that specific type of vehicle, and you would train that crew specifically for that vehicle. So it was a very custom, it was a very any veteran of the game will probably understand what I mean by this. It was a very personal crew. They all had their place. So this is, I'm reading this as they're stepping back to the roots of the game. They're taking a step back to what this game used to be. Alright, new skill, Rocketeer. Plus 1 additional rocket boost. Okay, again, that's another very unique skill for tanks with the rocket boost. So the Chinese boosted tanks, the heavies. 25% increase to rocket thrust and engine power. Alright, so again, yeah, that's going to be useful for that very specific type of vehicle. Yeah, alright. Returning skill, Jack of all trades. The penalty for a wounded crew on performance is reduced by 25%. Yeah, that was one of the go-to skills back in the day. That was a very useful one to have. I like this. That's good. I like that. Adrenaline Rush and Last Stand are being combined into Final Stand. So 15% increase to gun reload speed and 25% increase to commander's effectiveness when under 10% HP. This was, and I don't know if we're still sticking to 9 crew slots, then I can still see this as being one of those skills that no one's going to use, because there are other skills that are better than this. There are other skills that can benefit you more when you've got more than 10% HP to prevent you getting to 10% HP. If they're allowing more than 9 skill slots, then yeah, this crew skill will come in handy, and you can maybe use it as your 10th, 11th, 12th skill. But yeah, I can't see that being a big deal. Right, both skills are being combined. Comms Technician, marked target. So 30% increase to radio range, 3-second increase to vehicle detection time. Comms Expert. Alright, so radio range. Cold War, not a huge, not massively important. World War II, maybe. 3-second increase to a duration of enemies spotted. Light tank, yes, but again, it's one of those skills where you'd focus you'd focus other more important skills, and then you'd think about this one. This is still one of those sidelined crew skills, even though they've combined them. It's not something that's important enough for the core gameplay. But again, if we can get more than 9 skills, then yeah, that will certainly be added to the list of acquired skills at some point. Alright, so combined again, firefighting, fire prevention, 10% decrease to fire duration, 33% decrease to chance of internal fire. Okay. Yeah. Some tanks are prone to getting caught, to catching fire. Era 1, the E3, that is a very predictable fire, so if you've got a specific crew for your E3, then that's likely to be beneficial. Combining these skills again, Deadeye and Iron Mace, so 6% increase to chance of damaging crew modules with those types of ammunition, 25% decrease to the effective distance the effect distance has on shell penetration to expert gunner. Well, I use Deadeye for anything with an autocannon, and autocannons were already a menace in the game, and now you've just reduced any penalty I had for range. You've decreased that penalty. So, not sure if that was a good idea. Controlled impacts being combined with trick driving to give us dynamic driving. 20% decrease to ram damage to self, 20% increase to ram to enemy, 30% full damage, reduction of full damage. Okay. Again, that's another one of those skills that I would get after I've got all the other important skills. I'd just add it to the list of things to get eventually. Safe stowage is now changing to 25% increase to ammo rack durability, which is what it was. 50% reduction to reload penalty with a damaged ammo rack. So if you've got safe stowage, your ammo rack's been hit, the penalty is 50% less. Okay, alright. Again, one of those, I'll get to it at some point in the future. I've got more important things to be focusing on. Snapshot is changing from 12% increase to accuracy during turret rotation to a 10% increase to accuracy during turret rotation. Okay, so they're nerfing. Snapshot was one that light tanks used a lot, especially autocannons. So that's a nerf to the autocannon light tanks. Or any light tank, really. Camouflage expertise. That's a big one. That is a big one. So accuracy on the move is being nerfed. Camo is being nerfed. Off-road driving is changing to having the 15% increase to handling on soft terrain removed. It's now just a 7.5% increase to handling on soft and medium terrain. Okay, so again, that's a nerf to the movement. Born Leader, 10% increase to skill effectiveness, is changing to 5% increase in skill effectiveness. Okay, so again, a nerf. Hints at slowing things down. Rapid loading is being removed, so the 10% increase to gun reloads going. 10% increase to accuracy of steady aimers also going. So again, slow the reload down, make the guns less accurate. This is all leaning towards just slowing the pace down. Muffled shot improves at shot camouflage factor by 35% when shooting. This skill's property is being converted into a tank. Okay, so that skill's being removed, but it's not being the benefit's not being removed from the game. It's just being transferred to equipment. And the same for silent driving. That is now an equipment option. So yeah, they're nerfing. They're nerfing a lot. A lot is being nerfed. Alright, equipment changes. What have we got here then? Enhanced target info, that's going to be default. Okay, so we're going to get an extra equipment slot because Sixth Sense is going. Enhanced target info is going to be a default part of the game, which it always was back in the day. New equipment, flash hider, improves at shot camouflage. Okay, so that muffled shot is now becoming flash hider. Okay, that makes sense. That's going to be useful for, I would say, tank destroyers. Maybe light tanks. New equipment, low noise exhaust system. 55% decrease the effectiveness of driving in your tank's camo factor. That was also a crew skill. That one, silent driving, yeah. Okay. So that's two for light tanks. If we're building a light tank here, that's two equipment slots already. That used to be crew skills. So what I'm getting from this is they're really nerfing everything hard. Really hard. Cooling jacket, new equipment, decreases the overheat penalty by 25%. Okay, that's going to be very beneficial to the GAU 8 because that thing overheats very quickly. Although the actual concept of overheating doesn't make sense in this game because the rotary cannons are the ones that have the overheat mechanic, but the design of a rotary cannon, it's a rotary cannon because you don't want to overheat one barrel, so you've got multiple barrels to avoid that problem, but the rotary cannons are the one that have the overheat mechanic and the single barrel autocannons don't. So that mechanic, in my opinion, is completely backwards anyway. They need to flip that, in my mind. But hey, that is going to be useful to the GAU 8. It's going to be useful on the VADs. That's interesting. That's a very unique bit of kit for those vehicles. That's, again, we'll just have to see how it plays out. I quite like the VADs. Returning equipment, camo net. Hey, camo net. I remember this back in the day. Cool. Yes. Activates after 3 seconds, and there's an audio cue that sounds like the audio cue back in the day sounds like someone dropped a raincoat on the floor. Just that sort of crumpled noise. So the equipment. So okay, we're building a light tank. You want the flash hider for the camo factor. Possibly. You'll want that, certainly. You're going to have camo net, but the camo net will only work if you're stationary for 3 seconds. So this means that scouting gameplay is going to be a lot more passive. You're not going to be able to... Well, yeah, you're not going to be able to just YOLO around in a light tank, slapping and twatting the shit out of everything. So again, this is a step back to how the game used to be in the old days. So up to 15% in Cold War. So it's a 10% camo bonus after 3 seconds for lights, mediums, heavies, and 15% for tank destroyers. Okay, this was always something I used on tank destroyers. So the Object 120 is going to benefit from this. I'm interested to see how an Object 120 build will look. And it also might mean that if you want to stay sneaky in a tank destroyer like the Weasel Toe, the ELC, you're going to have to fire when stationary. Because if you fire when you're moving, you're going to have no concealment advantage, and people will see you, people will spot you a lot easier than they can now. So that's interesting. This is a little bit of nostalgia in there. That's nice. Returning equipment binos, yeah. 15% bonus to spotting range. So, okay, so right, let's go back to building a light tank. Flash hider, yep. Well, no, we'll get rid of flash hider, because if you want to play passive scouting, that's fine. So, low noise equipment is 1. Camo nets 2. Binos is 3. You've only got 1 slot left for equipment on a light tank. This is interesting. This is getting interesting. And it activates our... Okay, so if you've got camo net and binos equipped together, after 3 seconds, your view range increases and your concealment increases. And your concealment decreases, yeah. Yeah, that I remember... These 2 pieces of equipment, I remember using these a lot back in the day. Because you'd sit still in your tank destroyer... After 3 seconds, you'd hear the audio cue, your view range would increase, your concealment circle would get smaller. That was a very core part of the tank destroyer gameplay back in the day. These 2 were core. That's good. Alright, so engine protection. This equipment combines to become... Okay, so engine protection, reinforced ammo rack, reinforced fuel tanks. So every single bit of protection they had on hardware is now being combined into a single item. Increase. Okay, so yeah, heavies will want to use that. Mediums maybe. Okay, so we're moving on. Gun stabilizer now only affects accuracy during turret rotation and movement. Right, improves shell accuracy while moving. 20%, 20%. Don't know. I don't think that's a change. I think that's just a change in wording. Okay, that's no different. That's yeah, that's just gun stabilizer. Right, advanced armor is now advanced hardening, and it's okay. Yeah, this was a complaint a lot of people had. Instead of reducing the alpha that your gun does to a target, the target is just going to get an extra 5% hit points. Alright, fine. Again, that's probably helpful on heavies. Any brawling heavies, you'll want as many hit points as you can. Alright, advanced gun laying drive. Aiming speed increased by 12%. Aiming speed increased by 10%. Okay, again, a nerf to aiming. They're nerfing stuff. They are nerfing things quite hard across the board. Alright, so advanced concealment is now improved concealment. Cold War used to be up to 30%. It's now 7.5%. Up to 7.5%, sorry. So tank destroyers get the best at 7.5%. Heavies, mediums, and lights 5%. Yeah, they're completely nerfing concealment and movement and gun accuracy and gun loading. That means things are going to be seen a lot easier. Things aren't going to be moving as quickly. Things aren't going to be as accurate as they used to be. Things aren't going to be hitting you as often as they used to be. This is... Boy, this is heavy. Traction system, max speed increased by 10%. Hull rotation increased by 10%. That's changing to 7.5%. Handling all... Okay, so... Your tank's not going... Okay, alright, so yeah. Traction system, that I slapped that on every light tank I had to make it faster. So basically now, unless you put fuel, well, I don't even got that far yet. If fuel has changed, I don't know, but your light tanks are not going to be boosted as much as they are now. So if the top speed of the FV107 is 85 kilometers an hour, then your top speed of your 107 is going to stay roughly 85 kilometers an hour. You're not getting the extra 10%. but you are going to be more nimble on the spot, and you're going to be more nimble across all terrain types. So maps like Live Oaks and I forget the other one with the swamp in the middle. Live Oaks has got a big swamp in the middle. You'll be more effective driving across that terrain. I still wouldn't recommend it, although, hey, we'll have to slap this cruise skill on and try it. Spore Liner, reduce ram damage and explosive damage received by 50%. Spore Liner, reducing ramming and explosive damage by 50%. Reduce auto pen damage by road. Okay, so if you've got Spore Liner, rotary guns won't do auto pen damage to you at all. And Spore Liner, I can see being a standard. This is going to be a standard piece of kit for most people, I would say, especially in eras 2 and 3, because that's where the rotary guns are, and that's where the ATGMs are. So this crew skill is not going to be... Wait, this isn't crew skills, is it? It's equipment. Got lost there for a second. So this is looking like you're going to have Era 1 crews and Era 2 and 3 crews, because Spore Liner, yeah, that's helpful, ramming and explosive damage received by 50%, but that doesn't happen all that often in Era 1, so maybe you don't need Spore Liner in Era 1. But these two, especially this one, reduces module damage from ATGMs by 25%. That's enormous. All of these ammo, this increase in ammo racking that we've seen recently, that's going to reduce that, which is, again, going to make games last longer, tanks be alive longer. Reduce auto pen damage from rotary guns by 100%. Yeah. No auto pens. You can't just auto aim with a rotary cannon and do damage. Hey, good. Advanced loader was a reduction in 10%. Gun rammer load time -5%. Okay, so yeah, you can reduce your load time, but instead of 10-second reload would be then 9 seconds, your 10-second reload is going to be 9.5 seconds. So the quicker your reload is, the less of an effect this is going to have, because 5% of 100 is a lot more than 5% of 5, for example. So the longer your reload, the more effective this bit of kit's going to be. Okay, alright. Enhanced missile warning adds an incoming missile warning, 5% view radius, 10-second target of enemy detection time, eras 2 and 3. Alright, so this is changing to add an incoming, okay, with a warning, add 5% to vision radius, which is the same, 2 seconds to the targeted enemy detection time. That, oh, sorry, name change only. Okay, that's no different. Right, advanced suspension is changing to reinforced suspension. That's just a name change only, that's no different. So track durability increases by 50% and damage received from environmental collision reduced by 50%. Okay. Advanced repair system, name change only, that's remaining the same. Repair time reduced by 25%. That is a useful skill on heavies, mediums. Advanced optics is changing to coated optics, which is what it used to be. 10% to your view range. Enhanced zoom, high power zoom. That's a name change only. Advanced powertrain. Okay. Turbocharger. Max speed and horsepower increased by 5%. So, yeah. So, if we take... If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the FV107, 85 kilometers an hour, you used to be able to put 15% boost on that. And that would get you up to 99 or something like that, I think it was. But 5% of 85 is what? That's 8.5, 4.25. So your 85 kilometer an hour top speed is going to go to 89, 90. So they're basically nerfing the speed of things. They're slowing everything down. Which, by all measures, not bad. Although, I say that, the Era 2 Conquerors are incredibly slow, and I boosted the engine power on that tank just to get going, so maybe heavy tanks like that are going to be a little bit of a slog. I don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, that's skipped way past. Alright, let's have a look at the consumable changes. Scroll past that again. Alright, consumables. Hull patch kit. Hull patch kit. Active. Restores 5% tank HP over 20 seconds. Restores up to 20% of your health over 30 seconds. Okay, so that's quite a lot of health. Healing rate halves while you're moving. Healing stops when the... Okay. 2.5% chance of reduction to module damage. Okay, that's the same. That's fine. But that's a massive change. So, if you've got the hull patch kit, you're going to have to be clever, smart about and sensible with how you use it, because yeah, you can just pop it if you want, but you're only going to get 10% of your health back if you're moving. If you're in the line of fire, you can pop it, but as soon as you get hit, it's going to stop working, which is a waste of your hull patch kit. And this is the regular one as well. The enhanced one is, I believe, 30 seconds healing rate halved while moving. Yeah, so alright, so the advanced one is just a 5% chance, 5% reduction in chance to module damage. So this, you're going to have to fall back, find cover, and you're going to have to sit there for 30 seconds to regain 20% of your health. And that is worth it. 20% of your health is a lot, especially if you're down to 200, 150 hit points. That is a lot. That could be game changing, but you've got to be smart about it now. Interesting. Okay. Enhanced fire suppression. Extinguishes all fires automatically. Alright, that's fine. I don't use the fire suppression that much. I think I use it on the T72 Ural because that thing loves to get set on fire. I don't play the E3 all that much. But again, E3 loves to get set on fire as well. 10 seconds of fire suppression, fine. 25% chance of reduction in chance of internal fire. Okay. The only change there is it does it automatically, hence the name. Alright. Smoke screen is changing from 3 vision blocking smoke grenades to 5. 10% invisibility. 10% invisibility. That was... I don't recall it being invisibility. I just recall it being 10% reduction in your concealment. Okay, so 1 second decrease to your spotted duration time. Okay, so having smoke on your light tank is not going to increase your concealment, which means that little tanks like the ELC and the Weasel are not going to be these stupidly well concealed vehicles anymore. I mean, they're still small, they're still hard to hit. Again, we'll just have to see how that goes. Enhanced smoke screen. Okay, so that's the regular smoke screen. Enhanced smoke screen, again, 5 vision blocking smoke grenades, 2 second decrease to your spotted duration time. Okay, so if anyone's kitted out to maximize spotting, having smoke as a consumable will take 2 seconds off that time, which, yeah, that's useful for the light tanks. It's going to be useful for the light tanks, basically. Alright, so if we scroll down, they've now got graphics for what each... for all of the items that we've just gone through. So, returning skills, there are 6 returning skills. So, add 6 to the number that we had. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills being combined. So 10 skills are being reduced to 5. So we're losing 5 skills but gaining 6. Adjusted skills. These are all nerfed, basically. Unchanged. Okay, that's fine. Removed. Silent driving. This is interesting. This is very interesting. It's difficult to comment on how it's going to impact the game until we actually play it, but I've got to hand it to Wargaming. I will say that it's clear to me that someone at Wargaming has finally realised that the cowboy style gameplay that we've had for the last 5-6 years is, well, it's not healthy for the game. And they're trying, and this to me sounds like they're trying to return the game to its roots. They're trying to make the game what it used to be. They're trying to make it what made it so popular to begin with. And hey, I think that's a good thing. I have no idea how these changes will work out, but my initial impression is that accuracy is being nerfed, reload times are being nerfed, the speed is being nerfed, concealment's being nerfed. Every single part of every single aspect of the game is being nerfed in some way or another, and that, in my opinion, that makes it relatively fair, because they're not just picking on light tanks or tank destroyers. Like, nope, everything is going to be nerfed, everything is going to be pulled back, everything's going to be reeled in. And some people might not like that, but I personally think that for the long-term health of the game, that is what's necessary. They're cutting out things. They're basically pruning the game. And yeah, anyone who, if you know gardening, you'll prune a tree and it won't look all that pretty at first. It might, it's not the pretty big tree that you used to have, but you ultimately know long term it's what's best for it. So hey, I think that's a good thing. How this will actually work with the crew skills, though, I don't really want to be spending 90 gold to experiment with crew setups, so I really hope that they address that sort of side of it. I'd like to spend silver instead of gold to respec my crews, because there's going to be a lot of experimentation with this. There's going to be a lot of testing, switching things in and out, and I don't want to be wasting my real money to figure out what works best for me. So I don't know if they've mentioned anything in here about that, but yeah, I'd say for a month, make the cost of retraining crews free. After that, charge people, fine. But yeah, for a month, make it free so that we can play around, experiment. Yeah. Alright guys, well, we've come to the end of the article, and that is all we've got to talk about. So if you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, if not a dislike, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.